Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 18, Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. Conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. Ashtadasha Adhyayaha. Bhagavad Gita 18.1. Arjuna Vacha Sannyasasya Mahabaho Tattvam Ichhami Veditum Tyagasya Cha Hrishikesha Prithak Keshi Nishudana.
Mithali Mataji, are you ready to recite the English?
Yes, Prabhuji, I did not know that nobody actually texted me. Yes, Prabhuji, I'm here.
Okay, if you can carry on reciting the English, please.
Yes, Prabhuji, yes. Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, Tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, Sannasya, O killer of the Kesi demon, master of the senses.
Text 2. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam Sannyasam Kavayo Viduha Sarva Karma Phala Tyagam Prahustyagam Vichaktanaha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great man called the renounced order of life, Sannasya. And giving up the results of all activities is what the wise will call renunciation, Tyaga. Prabhuji, there is a noise coming out.
Okay, I'm going to mute others. Okay, that should be better.
Text 3. Tyajyam doshavat ityeke karma prahur manishinaha yagyadana tapa karma natyajam iti chapare.
Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty. Yet other sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned.
Text 4. Nishchayam shrinu me tatra tyage bharata sattama tyago hi purusha vyagra trividha samprakirtinaha.
O best of Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of three kinds.
Text 5. Yagyadana tapah karma natyajam karyameva tat yagyodhanam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam.
Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls.
Text 6. Etanyapi tu karmani sangam tyaktva phalani cha kartavyani me partha nishchitam matamuttamam.
All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pritha. That is my final opinion.
Text 7. Niyatasya tu sannyasaha karmano nopapadyate mohatasya parityagas tamasa parikirtitaha. Karma kaya klesha bhayat tyajet sakritva rajasam tyagam naiva tyaga phalam labhyat.
Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation.
Text 9. Karyam nityeva yat karma niyatam kriyate arjuna sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva satyagaha satviko mataha.
O Arjuna, when one performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mood of goodness.
10. Na dveshti akushalam karma kushalena anusajjate tyagi sattva samavishto midhavi chinna samshayaha.
The intelligent renouncer situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubt about work.
Text 11. Nahi deha brita shakyam tyaktum karmani asheshataha yastu karma phala tyagi satyagiti abhidhiyate.
It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities, but he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who has truly renounced.
Text 12. Anishtam ishtam mishram cha trividham karmanaha phalam bhavatyatyaginem praitya natu sannyasinam kvachit.
For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, occur after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy.
Text 13. Panchaitani mahabaho karanani nibodhame sankhye kritante proktani siddhaye sarvakarmanam.
O mighty Arjuna, according to the Vedantas, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of this from me.
Text 14. Adhishthanam tatha karta karanam cha prithak vidham vividhascha prithak cheshta daivam chaivatra panchamam.
The place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kind of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul, these are the 5 factors of action.
Text 15. Shariravan manobhiryat karma prarabhate naraha nyayam va viparitam va panchaite tasya hetavaha.
Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors.
Text 16. Tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tuyaha pashyatya krita buddhitvan nasa pashyati durmatihi.
Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are.
Text 17. Yasya nahankrito bhavo buddhir yasya na lipyate hatvapi sa imam lokan nahanti na vibhatyate.
One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions.
Text 18. Jnanam gyeyam parigyata trividha karma chodana karanam karma karteti trividha karma sangraha.
Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the three factors that motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer are three constituents of action.
Text 19. Jnanam karma cha karta cha tridhaiva guna bhedataha rochate guna sankhyani yathavat shrinutanyapi.
According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge, action, and performer of action. Now hear of them from me.
Text 20. Sarva bhuteshu yanaikam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tajjnanam vihisatvikam.
That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities. Though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness.
Text 21. Prithakvena tu yajnanam nana bhavan prithak vidhan veti sarveshu bhuteshu tajjnanam vidirajasam.
That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion.
Text 22. Yattu kritsna vat ekasmin karye saktam mahaitukam atavatha vat alpam cha tattamasam udaritam.
And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness.
Text 23. Niyatam sangarahitam araga dveshataha kritam afala pripsuna karma yattat sattvikam.
That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruity result is said to be in the mode of goodness.
Text 24. Yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulayasam tad rajasam udaritam.
But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion.
Text 25. Anubandham kshayam himsam anapekshya cha paurusham mohadarat iti karma yattat tamasam uchyate.
The action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunction, and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
Text 26.
We stop here, Vrinda. We only did 25.
Okay.
Vrinda Devi. Yeah. So thank you very much, Vrinda Devi, for the lovely recitation. And an error today, or maybe because you're recording. Can you watch the waiting room for me, please? Because it'll be difficult for me to speak and watch the waiting room. So I'm making you co-host. If you can just monitor the waiting room for me, please. Can you do that?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, is it me?
Yes, Jyoti Mataji.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so if you can please just watch the waiting room.
Okay, sure, Prabhu.
Thank you. So Welcome everyone to today's session. We continue to read chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita, the perfection of renunciation. And today we will be focusing on text number 22. So let me share my screen and we can take that from there. No, sorry, that's not the one. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Yeah, here we go. So we'll say the Mangala Charanam prayers first. If you're welcome to join us behind muted mics. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vashadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarine. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So today we will be reading text number 22. We are currently in the section of the 18th chapter. We know at the beginning, Srila Prabhupada said the 18th chapter is essentially a summary of what has been described in the first 17 chapters. So from text number 20 to 19 to 40, the Lord is describing how the material modes of nature affect all living entities in different ways. So from text number 20 to 22, the Lord is describing knowledge in the three modes. Text number 20, the Lord described knowledge in the mode of goodness. Text number 21, which we covered yesterday, was knowledge in the mode of passion. And text number 22, which we are describing today, the Lord describes knowledge in the mode of ignorance. So text 22. Yattu Krishna vadekasmin karya shaktam ahaitukam atatar partha yadalpam cha tattamasam udaritam. The word for word synonyms: yat, that which; to, but; Krishna vat, as all in all; ekasmin, in one; karye, work; saktam, attached; ahoit, to come, without cause; atatva, artavat, without knowledge of reality; alpam, very meager; cha, and; tat, that; tamasam, in the mode of darkness; udharitam, is said to be. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The knowledge of the common man is always in the mode of darkness or ignorance, because every living entity is in conditional life, is born into the mode of ignorance. One who does not develop knowledge through the authorities of scriptural injunctions has knowledge that is limited to the body. He is not concerned about acting in terms of the directions of scripture. For him, God is money, and knowledge means the satisfaction of bodily demands. Such knowledge has no connection with the absolute truth. It is more or less like the knowledge of ordinary animals. The knowledge of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. Such knowledge is described here as the product of the mode of darkness. In other words, knowledge concerning the spirit soul beyond this body is called knowledge in the mode of goodness. Knowledge producing many theories and doctrines by dint of mundane logic and mental speculation is the product of the mode of passion. And knowledge concerned only with keeping the body comfortable is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So Srila Prabhupada summarizes this section very beautifully in the last sentence, where we understand that knowledge about the soul, which is beyond the body, that is knowledge in the mode of goodness. Knowledge which is produced from many theories and doctrines simply arising, as Prabhupada sometimes would often say, in the factory of the mind, to mundane logic and mental speculation is a product of the mode of passion. And lastly, this verse is saying, knowledge concerned only with keeping the body comfortable is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So this table here also summarizes this. So we can see in this verse that the Lord is using some specific adjectives to describe knowledge in the mode of ignorance. Firstly, the Lord uses the word alpam, meaning very meager. Meager meaning something that's very small, very limited, very confined. So knowledge in the mode of ignorance, it is very small and very confined because it only deals with the body, simply focused on the body and all that is meant to keep the body satisfied and happy. The second word is atattva artavat. Tattva normally means truth or reality. That's called tattva. And atattva means without knowledge of reality. So the people so-called knowledge in the mode of ignorance, it is completely out of touch with reality. And what is the reality? The reality is that we are living in a temporary world, which is full of miseries. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, from the highest planet to the lowest planet, this material world is dukkhayalam ashashvatam. It is full of miseries and repeated birth and death. But despite this being the reality, one whose knowledge is in the mode of ignorance, they think this material world is a nice place. It is a place meant for enjoying. It is a place meant for increasing our pleasure. And that is completely out of touch with reality. And Krishna says, this is without knowledge of the truth. Srila Prabhupada gives another nice explanation of atattva. So truth or tattva can only come from the scriptures or the Vedic knowledge. Anything else I cannot deem to be truth because it is relative. There is no absolute truth. So these people whose knowledge is in the mode of ignorance, they have no knowledge of the scriptures. They have no contact of the scriptures, and they have no care for the scriptures. So we can see by this description what is knowledge of them in the mode of ignorance. And we can see in this age of Kali that the majority of the population, they are situated here in this space of only being focused on the body. And Prabhupada says, for him, God is money, and knowledge means the satisfaction of bodily demands. And Prabhupada compares them to be on the same level of animals. And Prabhupada says, what are the four animalistic propensity? Eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. The human being, he will eat on the table with nice cutlery and ceramic plates, nicely decorated table, very sophisticated food. But the basic propensity is the same. The animal that is eating is having the same level of satisfaction as the person who's eating in a sophisticated way. The animal sleeps on the grass or on the ground, but the animal is quite content in his sleep, and when it's sleeping, it's oblivious of his surroundings. And the human beings, we sleep on comfortable, soft bed. Our sleeping is very sophisticated. Nowadays they have water bed. They have, different types of mattresses. They have electric blanket. They have memory foam mattresses. There's a whole industry, huge industry, just focused on the needs of sleeping in the human society. But once we sleep, and once the animal is sleeping, the experience is exactly the same. The same goes with defending. Prabhupada says we create nuclear weapons, sophisticated drones, and the animal defends with its claws and its teeth. But the net effect is the same. And mating is the same. The humans, they mate in a so-called sophisticated way. Although today's humans, they are just like animals. So what separates the human being from the animal? If all the human being does is the same propensities, but in a sophisticated way, Prabhupada says all we can call the human beings are sophisticated animals. That is knowledge in the mode. If human beings do not have, Prabhupada once went to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and he asked them, where is a department that teaches the difference between a dead body and a living body? And all the professors were shocked when they got asked that question. Prabhupada asked them, where do you study consciousness? And there could be no answer. So a human being that dies, comes into existence and simply focuses on this, they are simply meant to be in the mode of ignorance. And unfortunately, most of the schools, universities, colleges, and educational institutions, they are focused on the necessities of the body or the extended body. And it is a very sad state of affairs. I just want to now shift to the Sri Ishopanishad. In the Sri Ishopanishad, there are 3 mantras, mantras 9, 10, and 11. And it is said that these 3 mantras, they provide guidelines for knowledge. And they draw the distinction between vidya, which means knowledge, and avidya, which means ignorance. So I will read these 3 very interesting mantras and pay attention and see if you can draw the distinction in each mantra between what is vidya and what is avidya. So mantra 9 says, those who engage in the culture of nescient activities shall enter into the darkest region of ignorance. Worse still are those engaged in the culture of so-called knowledge. Mantra number 10. The wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge, and that a different result is obtained from the culture of nescience. And lastly, a very interesting mantra, mantra number 11. One who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. How many of you all have done the Bhakti Shastri degree here?
I have done it, Prabhuji.
Bhagavati Mataji, anyone else has studied the Bhakti Shastri degree?
Yes, I have.
Ah,
Yes,
Chandra
Prabhuji.
Mataji, you have.
Yeah.
Jai
Yeah.
Shri Radha Mataji, you have done it.
Yes, Prabhuji, I have done as well.
Ah, Srimati Mataji has done it. Oh,
Hare Krishna,
very good.
Prabhu, I'm studying it at the moment.
Oh, you're studying it at the moment, Dev Kishan. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. It's wonderful. So in the
Thank you.
Bhakti Shastri, how's your experience so far?
I'm loving it, to be honest.
Oh, really?
It's so
Good.
interesting.
That's good. So have you studied the Sri Ishopanishad already?
We're coming to that, I think. Actually, no, we've got 2 books to go through, the Nectar of Devotion, the Nectar of Instruction, and I think that is maybe the last book, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
I think.
So you'll come to the Sri Ishopanishad. It's a very, very interesting book. So in this 3 mantras, it says guidelines for knowledge. So mantra 9, Bhagavati Mataji, would you like to maybe share with us your understanding of what this mantra is saying? How it's drawing the distinction between vidya and avidya?
Which one? The mantra 9?
Yes, mantra 9.
Those who engage in the culture of nescience activity shall enter into the darkest region of ignorance. Worse still are those engaged in the culture of so-called knowledge. I mean, here they are saying that those who enter into the, material activities, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, and they do not, and that is their actual region of ignorance. And then instead of taking the path of spiritualist or Krishna consciousness, and they get more and more entangled into this, and they think that's the knowledge, but that's not exactly knowledge, because they are trying to just get happiness in this material world. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's
yes.
what I understand. Yes.
Okay, I made a little table here that explains each of the verses. So the first one is ignorant persons who are pursuing knowledge for sense gratification, right? And vidya is knowledge for those who are pursuing Krishna consciousness. Oh, sorry, actually that was slightly different. So you get, it says worse still, there's a slight error in that, so I'll explain it. Worse still are those engaged in the culture of so-called knowledge. So there are some people who are just outright ignorant. They only engage in sense gratification. But there are other people who are engaged in the so-called culture of knowledge. They are worse than this, because this is saying these are like the scientists. The scientists, they think themselves very, very advanced in knowledge. But in one sense, they are more degraded. They're more degraded than those that are just pursuing sense gratification, because one is pursuing sense gratification. They may have some belief in God, but they're just more interested in sense gratification. Whereas there are others, so-called very advanced people, knowledge, but they are atheistic, and because they decry the existence of God, they are known to be worse still. Mantra number 10 says, the wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge, and a different result is obtained from the culture of nescience. So, avidya, nescience, is knowledge for the pursuit of sense gratification. And vidya is knowledge for the pursuit of Krishna consciousness. Now, the last one is very interesting. Very interesting. And I'd like to, maybe Jayashree Mataji, you can explain to us how you understand this. It says here, only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. Would you like to explain that to us, Jayashree Mataji?
I'll try, Prabhuji.
Okay.
You've given me the most difficult one.
No.
I think what it means is for one to be able to understand what is wrong, what is right, they also need to understand what is wrong. So to understand what nescience is and the result of nescience is, you should understand that as well as what transcendental knowledge is. So you should know both. So quite often when it's like when we're doing the other books, we're told what not to do and what to do. You know, you can't fully understand what you should be doing without understanding what you shouldn't be doing. What are the consequences of nescience?
Okay, that is an interesting, very interesting understanding, and I agree with you. There's also another understanding. It is explained here, nescience in this context is knowledge for bodily maintenance.
Right.
And the other one is knowledge for pursuit of Krishna consciousness. So what that verse is saying, we need to have both. We need to have some knowledge to maintain the body. Because if we are not able to maintain the bodily properly, we will have little scope to focus on spiritual life. So what this is saying, one can learn the process of nescience. That means how to maintain the body, and that of transcendental knowledge side by side. Such person can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. So yes.
That understanding of nescience is different to the understanding of nescient activities in Mantra 9, though. Surely.
Exactly. Yeah. So what these verses are giving is giving a different understanding in each of the verses of what is avidya and what is vidya. It is giving a different understanding. And in this last verse, it's saying that we need both. We need both because we are in this material body. We need to take care of this material body. Just like, I'll give you a very simple example. Say you are sitting on a shore. And then across the shore, you can see in the distance, there is some island. And on this island, there is some valuable, very valuable stuff for you, right? So you have to get from where you are standing to the island, right? And how would you get across? You will get across with a boat. Right? Now, if you have no knowledge, say it's a motorboat, how to start the motorboat, how to fill the fuel in the motorboat, how to steer the motorboat, do you think you are going to be able to get across? No, you're not going to be able to get across. So in the same way, it is said that we need the knowledge, basic knowledge, to keep this body and soul together, because if you don't, then you will not be able to focus on the real business of the human body, which is the business of accumulating transcendental knowledge. And we do not have time to go through the purports. I take it all of you will have copies of the Sri Ishopanishad. If you do not have copies of the Sri Ishopanishad, you can go to vedabase.net online, and please read the purports to these 3 verses. And in each of those verses, you'll see there's a different understanding of what's nescience and what's knowledge. What is nescience and what is knowledge? And read the purport, because these purports of these verses are wonderfully explained by Srila Prabhupada. Wonderfully explained. So as living entities who have got the good fortune of getting the human form of life, we should not simply be concerned, overly concerned about the body. We have to cultivate spiritual knowledge. Srila Prabhupada gave some guidelines to those in ISKCON. He said that we should try to read at least for 1 hour a day. Every one of us should try to make it our goal that in this lifetime we shall read Bhagavad Gita, Sri Ishopanishad, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. In these books which I've just mentioned, one can get complete knowledge. One can get complete knowledge. And we should set ourselves some goals of how in this lifetime we can achieve this very important business. Very important business of reading and understanding of all of these important books. So we request everyone to please get copies, your library, of all of these books, and then set yourselves this goal. We all know there's the this wonderful app. It's called BA Sage Page by Page. How many of y'all have downloaded this app called BA Sage Page by Page? Have all of y'all seen this app? It's called BA Sage Page by Page.
Yes, Prabhuji.
I have it.
I have.
How many of y'all have used it?
I am reading Srimad
I
Bhagavatam.
have. I have
Already.
used
Already. That's a
Okay,
great tool.
okay, wonderful. Let me see if I can bring it up online. Okay, no, it's not possible. to do that. Anyway, it looks like this. And you download it and you can create a goal for each of the books, how much of time you want to spend. And in this way, read these books. Even if you do not really understand everything, just try to read, and gradually more and more will be revealed to us as we progress. So it's on iOS. Most people have smartphones today. You can go and download that and then set yourself some reading goals. So I'll stop here. It's 8:30. I try to keep, yesterday's class was a bit complicated. Some of you have shared with me, you got lost in the technical discussions of consciousness. So I thought today we'll keep it fairly simple. And but if anyone's got any questions or comments, please, or reflections, please share them.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mamataji.
So I suppose the more we read the scriptures that you've just highlighted, the more our taste for other mundane reading disappears, isn't it? Because you develop taste for the the scriptures that you've just outlined.
That's true. That's very true. In fact, even within the Vedic literatures, you know, we all know the conversation between Narad Muni and Vyasadeva at his ashram in Badrinath, where Vyasadeva was feeling dissatisfied. And he asked his guru, why is he feeling dissatisfied? And his guru told him, you know, you've written so many books, but all of these books, they've simply described Artha, Kama, Dharma, and Moksha, economic development, sense gratification, religiosity, and liberation. But you've not described the activities of the personality of Godhead. So when one reads about the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they become very, very relishable. And all other literatures, even Vedic literatures or that part of the Vedic literatures that do not deal with the transcendental activities of the Lord, then we lose taste for them. So you're quite right, Mataji. So not even, you know, mundane literatures, even that part of the Vedic literatures that do not deal with the aspects of the Lord's personality, they cannot satisfy the soul. Yeah.
Yes, yes. For some reason, verse 11 reminds me of this conversation between Narad Muni and I think it was Brahmaji, where Narad Muni says that after his service with these pure devotees and having their prasad and their association, helped him to understand the potency of Maya Devi. And that helped him to get closer to Krishna.
Yes, yes, that's a wonderful part of the Bhagavatam.
Yes.
When Narad Muni says that by the association of the Bhakti Vedantas, who were pure devotees of the Lord, were simply engaged in describing the activities and the pastimes of the Lord. And by serving them and tasting their remnants, he developed a taste for the higher subject matter. Yes, so certainly that happens.
Yes. But if our chanting is not right, then do we still develop taste for reading the scriptures, or does the chanting has to be in place to be able to develop taste for the scriptures?
Well, the scriptures say, you know, reading Srimad Bhagavatam is chanting also. Because Prabhupada says there's two types of kirtanam. You know, one is chanting the holy names, and the other one is chanting the glories of the Lord, as in Srimad Bhagavatam. But obviously, by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra or Japa, it gives us more eligibility to understand the scriptures. Yeah, that's there too.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Emma Mataji. Your questions are always very nice.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Any other questions or comments or reflections?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Uh,
Krishna, Nitya Mata.
uh, I was thinking it can be vice versa also, isn't it? By reading the books, you will have more taste for chanting.
True. True. By reading the books, the impurities within the heart become removed, and that will give us better scope for chanting. So it works both ways. By hearing Bhagavatam, we become fixed in chanting, and by chanting, we're able to become fixed in hearing Bhagavatam. So they are interdependent. They are both chanting. Actually, Prabhupada says they're both chanting.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions or reflections or comments? Puja Mataji, you're here with us today. No, she's not. All right. If there's no questions and comments, thank you so much for your time and your attendance today. All glories to your service. Vancha kalpa turubhyascha kripa sindhu bhevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Antakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Gaura
Nice.
Prabhupada.
Nice.
Hare
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.